How we doing? I'm Paul Begley. Like I said, it's begun. We had it last week. We had the rioting that went on and the protesting that went on in England because the government there, the parliament in England, tripled the tuition on the students. The thousands of students took to the streets. There was windows broken. There was fire set. There was cars flipped. And even Prince Charles, his Rolls Royce, got the door kicked in, the window broken, and paint thrown on it. And even Camilla was stuck with a stick by the protesters. This thing, you see, the currency crisis is causing the anxiety. It's causing the emotions. And quite frankly, it's causing the governments that are in trouble to have to slash programs. They're not going to cut theirs. They're not going to cut the government themselves. They're not going to cut each other. It's coming down to cutting the taxpayer, cutting the working man. Now, look what's happened just recently. Greece has already was bankrupt and had to be bailed out by the EU. So has Ireland. They had to be bailed out by the EU. Spain and Portugal are almost there. Now here we are talking Greece again. And let me read this article. I mean, they're right in the streets in Athens right now. I'm Paul Begley. And this is why we're talking about we're on the brink of the beast, as it talks about in the Bible. Because in the end of time, what will happen, the world currency will crash. And people will not have jobs, won't have money, they won't be able to buy things and sell, and there will need to be a one world order, or new world order, in which to reestablish control of the world. Population control is part of that. That's why these FEMA death camps have been built all over America, 800 of them. This is a global elitist movement. Some call it the Illuminati. I refer to it as the 7-year tribulation period, which will include the mark of the beast. And as that's happening, of course, there has to be a religious component to this, and that is the false prophet spoken about by John the Revelator in the book of Revelation. And who is that false prophet? Well, I've been saying it, and I'm going to continue to tell you who he is. He's already spoken. His name is Muhammad. Muhammad is the false prophet, the false religion, where many nations of the world begin to embrace. It's oppressive. It takes away freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression. Women are downgraded and abused. Children, girls are seen as nothing. Acid in the face, honor killings are okay. These guys are corrupt to the core, and yet they say they're holy men. They're not, they're liars. But I want to read to you an article. This is coming out of Reuters, okay? And even the guy who wrote this article was injured in the protest there in Greece. Athens, Greece. Greek protesters clashed with police. They set fire to cars and the hotel in central Athens on Wednesday as tens of thousands of people marched against the austerity measures aimed at pulling the country out of a debt crisis. Riot police answered with dozens of rounds of tear gas as the clashing, and it lasted for more than an hour, with police chasing hooded youths through sticks and stones at the police. Hours earlier, the parliament had approved reforms, spending cuts that are a condition of a 110 billion euro bailout by the EU. It offered to Greece in exchange for austerity measures. In other words, the EU said, we'll give you this $150 billion, but you've got to cut programs. Your socialized society has got to come to an end. You've got to start cutting and slashing, or you don't get bailed out, which means you'll flip upside down. But ultimately, you've already got 4 countries in the 10-country European Union already upside down. Whew, this thing's getting ugly. Okay, striking public, the private sector workers had already grounded flights. They were striking. They had shut down schools. They had paralyzed the public transport, and about 40,000 were marching through the capital shouting, "Revolt, revolt, overturn the government." This isn't good. Last week, what were they shouting to Prince Charles? "Off with your head! Off with your bloody head!" Now you've got these Greeks running through Athens, and this isn't the Olympics, and they're shouting, "Revolt! Overturn the government." This isn't good. And while that's going on, they reached the parliament. About 200 leftists attacked the former conservative minister with their fist. They punched the guy. They threw stones, they threw sticks, they were shouting, "Thieves, thieves, shame on you." Well, the Reuters witness who actually was writing this article is covered in blood as he took shelter in a building. Police said at least 10 people were detained and 3 have been severely injured. 3 cars were flipped and were on flames, while one luxury hotel, the balcony was on fire. People were throwing gasoline bombs onto the streets. Smoke and tear gas covered the square. Bystanders scrambled frantically to safety. The rising of anger. 300-seat House voted. Now, I want to get this to you, because to me this is part of the problem. The 300-seat House, or part of their parliament, voted into law measures that cut wages. And who were these wages? They were from the state-owned bus transit and railway companies. This weakened the power of the collective bargaining to allow company-level deals to prevail. People have had enough. The anger is so great that nobody can stop it. And the security of the Civil Servants Union added the march was bigger than one in May when 50,000 participated. So there was thousands in the streets. Today is a warning for what will follow after the holidays. I'm going to tell you something right now. The government of Greece is pretty well cooked. The corruption, the scandals, the embezzlements, the wasteful spending, and the socialistic doctrine that creates this society that we all have to be equal. Look, we're all for helping one another, but you cannot stifle freedom of a free enterprise system. You cannot shut down capitalism. A free market is essential for a growing economy. Well, you can't keep taxing and taxing and spending and spending and spending and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and living anyway. And how much money did these people take? These filthy, dirty politicians, thieves. They really are thieves. And so the shouting goes on. Look, I think you got the picture. You understand what's going on. Greece is upside down. England had it last week. We just had Prince Charles get his Rolls Royce kicked in. Somebody said, why are the bloody English attacking the prince? Because he's driving a Rolls Royce on their tax dollars. They wear fine furs, and Camilla had on pearls. They've been Christmas shopping earlier in the day, spending thousands. They were going to a very expensive royal event that evening and thought they'd take a little detour, a little cruise. Let's see how the protesters are doing. Look, this prestigiousness, this arrogancy, this haughtiness to the back-broken, tax-paying, God-fearing British citizen, it's too much. And now the cuts are coming, triple the tuition. And the cuts are coming, England. The cuts are coming. In Ireland, they're coming. In Portugal, they're coming. Spain, they're on their way. America, it's on its way. Slash and cut and burn, and then where's the money and the currency crisis? And this thing is out of control. We're nearing the brink of the beast. The 666, the mark. Read it. It's in Revelation. And you can look in my videos. I have one called The Rise of the Beast, my vision from 1994. Paul Begley's vision, 1994, part 1 and 2, entitled The Rise of the Beast. I'm Paul Begley. They're crying everywhere.